tune, that was Hang On by Need to Breathe. Good morning and welcome to Rhema CC on this delightful Sunday morning. Good morning. It is Sunday, as I said. It also happens to be the first Sunday of July. So that means that you obviously have your new start for the day, you have your new start for the week, you have your new start for the month, and what a month it is. You realise that this means that we have done half the year. Half the year has already gone. Now, how crazy is that? I looked at my little guy just the other day and thought, oh my goodness, his first year of school, he's in kindy, and his first year is halfway through. It's almost, it's crazy how, I swear it was just only a few weeks ago that I was getting his school bag all kind of fixed up and ready to go, but no, here we are halfway through. And before too long, we're going to be at the end of the year and I'm going to be looking back and going, what happened with that? Now, I'm sure you guys can relate because the year is getting away with us. Now, for those of you who happen to be on the first weekend of school holidays, I realise that there's some schools who actually broke up a little bit early. But for most of us, I think this is the first weekend of this school holiday. It can be a little bit scary too. It can be like, what do we have to do during the school holidays? What things have we got to do with our kids? It can be frustrating. It can be agonising at times. But more than anything, it is an absolute blessing to be able to spend the time with our kids. Now, my voice is very croaky. It hasn't quite warmed up yet. It's not there yet, but we'll get there as the morning goes on. I look back and I think with my older girls, I'm actually really thankful I have such a big family because I have learnt so much in my first few years as a parent that as an older parent, I think there's some stuff now that I kind of go, I get it. Like I didn't get it then. People would say to me, grab hold of this opportunity because it will go so, so quickly. And I used to roll my eyes and think, there is no way. This is taking forever for me to get to the point where I can actually have little people who can do things for themselves, who are capable, who are, independent. Well, I can look at my older girls now and go, that does actually, eventually come to an end. And there is a time where suddenly that little hand that holds yours is not holding yours anymore because it's too busy either with its own little hand or it may have the hand of another person who they love. It's just one of those reminders I think that we need. And so this morning I am looking at the whole idea of blessings because we forget to grab hold of the blessings sometimes. And family is certainly one of those. And I think we just need to grab hold and just remind ourselves how blessed we actually are. So what is a blessing? Let me just start with that. Let's go with it from a, definition type perspective. What is a blessing? Well, just putting into a Google search, blessing, first thing that pops up is God's favour and protection. AI overview says a blessing in general is something that brings happiness, good fortune or divine favour. It can refer to a prayer or invocation of divine protection, an expression of approval, or a beneficial event or situation. Excuse me. It can also mean a gift or benefit that makes one happy. So obviously that's a very worldly sort of response. If you look at what is the meaning of spiritual blessing, thus spiritual blessings means that God has brought joy into our lives. Now that's all spiritual blessings. That's just, I just found that from a website called supplyofgrace.com, just sort of examining what that actually means. Blessing is ultimately about joy. I think it can be in terms of what the definition of joy itself means. Joy we tend to think of as the big smile on our face and being happy and life being wonderful, but blessing can actually come sometimes through the trials too. There can be a sense of real joy, a real deep and contextualized joy that comes from the tough stuff. So when we're talking about blessings in this way, it is our approach, I think, sometimes too. It is how we perceive it. And I think we need to remind ourselves just how blessed we are. I'm going to start simply this morning. We're talking about this awesome nation that we live in. Australia, it is just a phenomenal place to live. And there are so many across the globe who want to be here, who look across and say, I want to be a part of that. Certainly, I think the media can play things up and give, both sides. I think it can shape things up to better see Australia in different light. But I think across the globe, you see people jumping on planes to better get here. They will, do whatever they can to have that tick of approval to say, yes, you can stay. Now, certainly for us, my husband and I worked a lot with refugees, and my husband did too, but different context. He was obviously working from a spiritual perspective. I was working as a counsellor, so I certainly heard some things from across the globe that, I hope and pray our kids, I hope we don't ever experience. I hope we always fully grasp just how blessed we are in this nation. But in terms of natural resources, my goodness, guys, we are just bombarded. God has blessed this nation. Australia is blessed. You look at the land, you look at the different types of land. If you go in the middle of Australia, you're covered by these gorgeous, the red tones throughout the land. You look up with the blues of blues. The sky is just so open. Where we are, you've got the ocean, you've got the lakes surrounding. There's water in abundance. There's other parts where you've got your green fields and you've got your wineries and you've got. I'm talking myself here. That's what I'm thankfully able to be exposed to. And 5 minutes from my house. We live in a beautiful part of the world. And we've got hot, we've got cold, we've got the seasons. Obviously, my husband always says, you haven't really got the seasons. And I'm like, no, it's not like other parts of the world where it's more extreme, but there is still that sense of God is in the hot, God is in the cold, God is in the dry, He's in the wet. We have our floods and we have our dry seasons. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's awful when the stuff happens to us directly, obviously. But in terms of our approach to understanding the blessings of God, I think we can take away the sense of power that God has in that, because He is in all of it. He is in the rain, He's in the fire, He's in the floods, He's in all of it. And, even in those situations, my goodness, the community that evolves when we see these things that can destroy communities, but you see the sense of community, that there is a blessing in that. See how I'm saying the perspective changes everything. I could sit and say it's devastating when this happens, it's devastating when that happens, there's no hope. Or I can flip it and I can understand that God still works in all things. That is the hard stuff and that is the good stuff. And He blesses through community in those moments where I'm, specifically talking where there's stuff that we look at and go, oh, that's damaging to whatever. But the community that rises from that is a sense of unity and sense of community. And, there is something I think that God smiles upon. There is blessings. We find others who get us in those moments. We are, I think perspective, it's huge. But again, going back to our nation, we have to understand, and I think this is just the wake-up call even for myself, we have to understand that we live in a nation where we are free. We are free to roam the streets. We can walk beside our spouse or even our friend who happens to be the opposite sex. There are parts of parts of the world who cannot do that. They are not allowed to do that. And it sounds silly, but we just have to be mindful of the blessings that we have in this nation. The legal structure, it doesn't mean we necessarily agree with some of the stuff that's come in or been brought in over the years, but there is a system and, it's ideally there to protect us as much as we can. Doesn't mean it's perfect, of course not. I don't think anything ever could be because we're very human and we don't get it straight all the time. But we live in a great place, guys. And I think today I just want to remember that. So spend some time this morning and think about the blessings of just being in this awesome nation, Australia. Pull out the old national anthem. I took that on board this week and I was singing it and the words popped out at me and I went, my goodness, we are blessed. Psalm 2:8, ask of me and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. Psalm 22:27, all the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations will bow down before him. Psalm 33:8, let all the earth hear the Lord, let all the people of the world revere him. Psalm 47:1, clap your hands, all you nations, shout to God with cries of joy. Psalm 48:10, like your name, O God, your praise reaches to the ends of the earth. Your right hand is filled with righteousness. Psalm 67:7, God will bless us and all the ends of the earth will fear him. Psalm 72:17, may his name endure forever, may it continue as long as the sun. All nations will be blessed through him and they will call him blessed. I'm going to end with this one. Oh, do I really want to? There's just so many, but I will. Psalm 86:9, all the nations you have made will come and worship you, O Lord. They will bring glory to your name. Good morning and welcome to Rhema CC. I'm Lindy. I'm your Sunday morning host here, and we are talking about praise, and more than anything, we're talking about blessings. The two do go hand in hand. So blessings is kind of the theme of the day, I guess you could say, but perspective is such a big part of that. Now, we talked before a little bit about just acknowledging how awesome it is that we get to call Australia home. It is we are just, there's no words. I'm sort of stuck for words because when I really think about it, I change the perspective that I can be kind of tempted to go into. And we can get a little bit riled up over things that, don't make sense to us, that probably from an ethos perspective don't align with our values. We can see changes happening in and around us that we think, hang on a sec, that's so not how we're encouraged to be from a Christian perspective, and yet the world is transpiring around us. The culture is different to what my ethos or expectations are from a Christian value. We'd be silly to say that it's not happening because it is. There are things around us that make us go, huh? Like what? But having said that, our perspective can change so much. And we can instead focus on what is of God. Our very human nature can be very not of God, but we still see God in everything. We see him in the nature that surrounds us. And I'm, specifically talking, if I'm thinking Australia, I'm looking at the land mass. I'm looking at the way that we are, just the whole geographical stuff. It's like, you look at just how we are placed. And there is a blessing in that for us to be able to see all the different sort of elements of nature in one particular landmass. It's, if you've been to the Northern Territory, just flying over South Australia and just looking down and just seeing, I can't think of the actual name of the place, but the salt. It's a lake that's basically salt. I don't really remember the context of it. I remember flying over it and going, oh, that's what my kids have been talking about because they've been there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And then to get to other parts of the world, or other parts of Australia specifically, where you are flying into literally just basically desert, where it's red. It's very, very red. It's pretty cool to just go, oh my goodness, I've come from my very built up, Sydney or Newcastle. I've flown from Newcastle into certain parts of Australia, parts of Queensland. You look at just how beautiful they are. Even the temperature differences between here and there. And, God is in nature and all of that. We are blessed. But more so, I just want to just say that we are blessed because we live in a nation that still allows us to pass on the truth of who God is to our own children with a sense of freedom. Will that always be the case? I hope so. I hope and pray that that is never taken from our children and that our children's children. I hope that the freedom of Christ is always, able to be experienced in this gorgeous nation. In fact, that is my deepest prayer. That, if there is a plot to destroy that God just has his way in it and says, no, this is my nation. This is my people, and I will be spoken of, I will be heard, I will be freely experienced. To see, I don't know about you guys, but if you are someone who has been fortunate enough to be raised in a family who there is a Christian heritage, it is so, it's mind-blowing to watch how God has worked generation after generation after generation. And I hope and pray that for those of us who know our God, that we are able to do the same thing, pass those things down to our children to the point where they just know it to their core. We just started this little section just looking at how God is to be praised, to be blessed, how nations change from one generation to the next. And we've obviously got some work to do because we've got kids to care for and to spiritually to enrich. And is that even a word? I don't know. It is now. We're making it up. Enrich is what I was trying to say. But anyway, it is early. My brain's not quite there yet. It's okay. I just think we are blessed in that we can openly share our faith with our kids. We don't have to worry about what will happen if they say something to someone else about our faith. We are free and we are blessed. The list goes on, guys, and we will continue that before too long. And welcome back, Coasties. That was In My Blood by Joel Smallbone. Good morning and welcome to Rhema CC. Thank you to you guys for getting behind what we have been doing here over the last few weeks. That whole mid-year appeal thing, it was phenomenal to just see how you got behind us, so thank you. As Rick has said, yes, it was literally the 11th hour, and we well and truly crossed that line. So thank you for getting behind what we need here just to kind of keep things afloat, keep things moving. Honestly, it is a big thank you from all of us. Yeah, and I just also want to throw it out there because I'm going to forget otherwise. 18th of July. If you jump on rhema.cc, you will see that we have our, it's a radio and you survey, and it literally takes 5 minutes, if that. I don't think it even took me that long. It was so quick. I did mine pretty quick up along the, when we were notified. I kind of went, yep, if I don't do this now, I am not going to think of it again. But yeah, honestly, it's no time. And we would love your insights, your thoughts. It all helps us to work out what's going on out there, guys. So yeah, if you can do that, rhema.cc, yeah, that would be a big help to us. Anyway, guys, we're talking blessings. We're talking about perspective. Can I ask you one question? Have you ever thought about your gender as a blessing? I think for myself, I think I'm a very different person to who I was probably 20, 30 years ago. Very different, actually. I used to think about the idea of being female as not a great thing. The perspective was, I will never be what other men can be. I think that was the attitude that we were encouraged to adopt and adapt. And I don't know, I think for myself, and I'm going to get into this in the next section, but I think for myself, I was that crossover period. I'm very, very cut off, I'm right on the line of Gen X. So I'm that sort of, I think there's a bit of a transition happening with my parents in terms of what was acceptable, as in the sort of typical male-female roles. I think my mum did a whole lot of stuff that there is no way I would be doing if I was doing all that no. I live in a different place. But I think the whole understanding of male-female perspective has changed. We live in a a time, and I know that there are people who loved, because that probably was what they're exposed to, loved the idea of gender roles, I guess you could say, that people know that they have a particular role based on their gender. Now, I don't know that we necessarily live in a world that, I don't know that our whole world, I don't know that we actually adopt the same sort of thing. I think there are certain aspects and parts of society that promote that sense. I think that I think it's a messy one, because I can tread on toes and somewhere along the line I'm going to upset somebody. But I think when we're looking at, the historical aspect, obviously you're looking at females typically being someone who are more likely to be the nurturer, to be the homebody, if you like, to be the person who's kind of going behind the scenes and just making things homely. That could be with their own children. It could be a sense of community. It could be a lot of different ways. And I think you have men who are typically, if you are looking historically, and even still in some parts of the world, men are they're out there providing it. Now, I find this bizarre, because my husband and I, as I'm talking, it has just always kind of been this way without intention or thought. It's just kind of just happened. I guess because we've had so many kids, I've just kind of gone, yep, well, one of us needs to be able to do it, and it makes more sense for you to be out doing what you need to do in the workplace. So I'll just kind of fit around there, and if there's moments where I'm working, awesome, I get to be doing other things that are beyond my little realm of being at home. But if not, that's cool too. So it is something that for us just evolved. I don't know for you guys, but we also live in a time which I think is really cool in terms of the availability to make choices. We can choose to do things differently. And women are encouraged to do things differently, to experience, to promote, to speak up, to lead. Now, I know I'm not talking the church today, because I just don't want to that's a whole other ball game. I'm like, yep, no, I'm not getting into that one today. But in terms of the world and how the world functions, women do have more opportunities than they would have at some time. I think we've made a shift in terms of, men lifting their game in the home. My mum and I were talking about this just this week, actually. We're talking about how me as a child, when I was a kid, my mum did everything. She did all the housey stuff, and she went to work full time. She juggled all of it. She'd have to have the school holidays planned for us, and she was, she's still like it. She's always got stuff happening for the kids, whether it's us or the grandkids. She's just always planning. She's a planner. She gets things happening. She never sits still. But my dad would go to work, and he would come home, and day was done. That easy as that. Occasionally he might put clothes out in the line, but that was not a huge deal. My husband is nothing like that. My brother-in-law is nothing like that. My brother is a very hands-on dad. He races around with his son all the time. He's always doing that stuff. It is generationally different. Our men are expected to lift their game in terms of what is, happening in the home, what's happening with the kids. It's a different world in terms of that. We live in a time where our blessing is and can be reminded by our gender. When we look at how things are done today as opposed to how they were done at a different time, there is blessing in that. But for those of you who might value the more traditional roles, perhaps you were born in a time where your role, if you're a woman, was to stay in the home and be solely responsible for the nurturing and the homely sort of stuff, the meals, just thinking ahead and trying to keep things functioning on a home sort of basis. So you maybe have been a gentleman who was out doing your thing in the workplace. There was a blessing in that. There is a blessing in that. Your gender, the way that we perceive our gender, there is blessings, and it comes solely down to perspective, how we see things. And when I say that, I mean for those of you who are feeling a little bit trapped in whatever circumstance you might be at the moment, You might be thinking, if I was just born like this, then it would be different. I want to encourage you to stop and flick that switch that says, there is blessing in this. I was born at this time, and that's what we're going to be talking about shortly, in this particular, gender, as this particular gender, and there is so much blessing in that. I get to experience this because of this. Certainly for myself, I think my husband will never know just how surreal it is to carry a human life into the world. It's mind-blowing, and yet God had equipped me. I still don't understand that. I'm like, seriously? But from a physical perspective, he equipped me to carry our children into the world. And that's just phenomenal. It's like, wow, and that is an honor for a woman to be able to experience that. I think there is an honor in a gentleman to be able to stand back and watch as their human, life that they have helped create is formed and is, comes into the world. There is a sense of awe that I think there is a bond that comes from that. There is a blessing that comes because there is a sense of, wow, this woman has helped me produce life, and there is awe and wonder in that. I had a guy just recently I was talking to, I was at work, and he was talking about his son, and I said, oh yeah, I've had 7 kids. And he just stood there, his mouth was open like, what? And he goes, I watched my partner, and I just think, my goodness, like, women are phenomenal. There is blessing in all of it. Take a look at your gender. Take a look at your biological making, the way that God has made you. And there is blessing in that, and there is so much to be thankful for. I'll leave it there, and we're going to talk about the now, or the when was I born. There's a bit of in between in there, but we'll be back soon. And welcome back, Coasties. That was Sunday by Corinne Hawthorne. And guess what? It is Sunday. It's Sunday morning, and you are waking up, or perhaps driving to somewhere, or perhaps, I don't know, maybe you're in the kitchen and you're cooking. Who knows what you're doing? Whatever you happen to be doing this Sunday morning, I hope it is going well for you. Excuse me, my voice is still not there yet, but we're getting there. Sorry about that. I think we're good to go. Guys, we've been talking about blessings this morning. We've been talking about perspective and how it can alter how we view blessings. Right now, we are going to be talking about the whole thought process behind comprehending when you were born and the blessing in that. Now, we have all sorts of ages and stages going on listening. This is the thing with radio. You never quite know who you're talking to. You never know if you're talking to lots of people or, no one. It could be, I don't know. It is a bit strange because you're just talking out there. And this one is one of those things that, again, proves that point. We could have those of you who are little munchkins. You could be little kids who are just kind of hanging about with, it might be the radio just in the background. You might be an older adult. You might be someone in between. Every one of us were born in a time that was meant for us. Have you ever thought about that? You were born exactly when you needed to be born. When this whole universe was going, yep, this is the time. God is allowing me to be conceived, to be born into this world, and there is purpose in that. And that's a big one to get your head around. I have recently become aware of the whole Gen X thing. Obviously, I just mentioned before, I'm right on the cusp of Gen X. I'm literally right at the end of Gen X, but there are so many traits within myself that I think, yep, I think I am meant to be a Gen X. And I think, honestly, it comes back to what we were talking about before. I think I was exposed to a lot of different worlds colliding at one time. Now, obviously, the male-female traditional roles, I think, as a kid, as a teen, all of a sudden seeing that shaken up in my own family because my mum had to go back to work. We got very, very, very close to losing our home. That was around the time where things were not good in terms of the recession. And my mum was forced into a position where she had to go back to work full-time. She did not want to. So there was a shake-up in my family to go, okay, things are going to have to look different here, which that took a long time to get, to a place where it looked different. As I mentioned before, the male and female roles then still were they were being navigated at that point as there was a bit of shift. I think a lot of people experienced this because the family dynamics had to change. There was financial pressures put on my parents. Now, guys, if you look at the recent years that we've just been through, you will probably find that things happen again that we're sort of in your own family reshifted or we had to create new ways to do things to survive, because there's a lot of people out there who have been doing it tough over the last few years. It's been, it's been intense. But if I look back in terms of what I was experienced or exposed to as a Gen X, and seeing that shift of the male-female roles and watching my own parents kind of go, okay, how do we make this work? I was in a place where I was able to see, and this is the blessing in that, I was able to see that there is not one way to do things, that there are many elements and many elements and modalities of how we can achieve. When we think of how things are done, it doesn't necessarily mean it is the only way to be done. And when we think of our, traditional family values, that got a bit of a wake-up call, a bit of a shake-up and a wake-up call. I think to many of us, we went, okay, does mum necessarily have to be at home? It was that crossover period where we just suddenly went, no, this is different. I know that there's stages beyond that where, there's historically, if you're looking at feminism coming in, all that sort of stuff, there is. But in terms of what actually had to happen in my home and how that impacted my understanding of the world, there was blessing in that. Now, this is what I'm saying, guys. You look back at your own life and you will see how you being born exactly where you were has altered or changed how you view the world, how things are done, how you perceive particular roles, stereotypes. It is a blessing. Now, yes, we do cross those over, and yes, it can get frustrating. I don't know about you guys, but when you are a part of a church, I'm losing my voice now, it's really going. When you're a part of a church, you see all sorts of generations crossing and merging and coming together because they love God. But we often forget that we see things differently based on when we were born. So we just need to be mindful of that. But I just want to encourage you that the fact that you were born when you were is a gift. It is a blessing, and God has blessed through that. He may have given you wisdom and insight that you otherwise would not have if you were not born in that time. He may have given you knowledge. We've got that much. If you are someone who is younger, I know for my kids, they were born right as the internet was just starting to pick up, as more devices were being created and being, put out there. It was more readily available. In terms of technology, they have got a massive amount of ability, but also access to so many different things that, it can be scary, but it can also be a huge blessing. So again, it just depends on where we are, how we perceive that, how we take it on board and say, thank you, God, for the blessing of the time when I was born. I can go on and on about, even from a Gen X perspective, that crossover of money versus, just the tap and go stuff. It's a different world, and I can see how things are different. I also think, sorry, my voice is really going. I also think even as an older parent now, as opposed to a younger parent before, I've seen how the shift in schooling, it makes things different. It transforms how things are done. And yes, it's different. Well, I need to go in a sec. But I just think wherever you are born or wherever your children are born alters how you perceive the world. All of it is good if we just understand and we take it on board as a blessing. Perspective and blessing, they go hand in hand. I'm going to go and grab a drink or do something with this voice because it is not playing, but I'll be back before too long, guys. I'll see you soon. And that was Born Ready by Kobe James. Good morning, guys. Welcome to Rhema CC. I hope you're having a beautiful one this morning. I am Lindy. I am here each Sunday morning, and I actually have my voice back. If you were listening before, it was gone. And thankfully, for the moment, I don't know how long for, it is back. Yeah, don't know what happened there, but anyway, I was very heavily in my conversation about blessings, and the blessings just kept dwindling. Anyway, guys, we are going to roll things up and just kind of just end things here, but I want to just end with a really positive thought. Blessed by provision, blessed by protection, blessed by perseverance, blessings that are changed through your heart and your understanding. We've been talking about blessings all morning, actually, and perspective at looking at things beyond us when we kind of need that reminder of, yeah, God is good. God has provided. God has protected. God has been there in those moments of need for perseverance. Certainly, we can look at our nation. We live in a beautiful nation that provides in terms of natural resources, governmental sort of decisions and offerings, provides in terms of the community services that are out there when we are doing things a little tougher than normal. We are a place of provision, and God has blessed us to be able to do and to receive that. God has blessed us through protection. We've got those who are out there to protect us. Now, certainly we can be critical at times. We can be destructive with our tongue, with the things that we say about those who are working on the front line in lots of different ways, whether that's through, our emergency services or beyond. I think we need to be very mindful of the fact that we are a very blessed nation, and we have got things in place to protect us, and they have protected us so many times that probably we don't even know. If you think even the whole cyber stuff, there are things happening beyond us. We've got people who are doing what they need to do. We've got computer systems that are on it before people can be. We are a blessed nation, and we need to be thankful for that. Do they get it right all the time? Of course not. Neither do we. We don't get it right every time either. We need to be kind and supportive and be thankful, because we are blessed to live in a place where protection is valued. We are blessed by perseverance. We live in a nation, and whether we are male or female, there are opportunities. And when things go wrong, there are still opportunities. We are blessed by perseverance and opportunities for perseverance. We are blessed. Yep, my voice is going again. It's always good. We are blessed in so many ways. And the blessings often have to start with our heart. We have to get our heart right. We have to get our head right. We have to see things for what they are, with a thankful heart, with a heart that says, my goodness, God, you have provided time and time again, and I'm so thankful for that. I think when we experience blessings fully, we understand them because we have allowed ourselves to go to places where we think and we thank and we comprehend what we are exposed to, and the timing of our lives, we comprehend that fully in terms of God's provision, God's blessing on us, and the blessing to our families, to our friends, to our communities. God has allowed us to live in this time, in this season, in this nation, and He has allowed us to speak freely of Him, to be able to share Him with others. We are blessed, and we are blessed big time. So guys, today my challenge for each of you is, when you have that thought of, if only it was like this, or if they just do this differently, or if, my challenge to you today is to slam that shut and think, you know what? I am blessed. Flip it on its head. Let's create a community of positivity. Let's remember that God has blessed, even in the stuff that we don't comprehend in our day-to-day life, in the moments that are frustrating, all that stuff. Let's flip it on its head. Let's start celebrating the fact that we are blessed. I hope you have a super week, guys. I'm out of here. I'm hoping my voice holds up for the rest of the day, but we will see how we go. And many blessings to you. And I mean that, honestly, from all of us here at Rhema, praying that you experience God's blessing throughout the week, and especially today. I'll see you guys next Sunday.